can move on to this last session. And I think this could be an interesting session to look at the lessons in entrepreneurship and startups. And we have got here several prominent entrepreneurs and people who have excelled in business. And we have joining us online a number of other people as well, from London, from San Francisco, from Germany, who are online with us. So we hope we'll have a good conversation. As we are running late, I'd like to seek the indulgence of all our speakers to please confine your remarks within 3 to 5 minutes. I know it's challenging, but if you can summarize and come up with concise remarks within 3 to 5 minutes, I think your key messages, your key points could be delivered better. So I seek cooperation of everyone. Please try to do your presentation in 3 to 5 minutes. What I suggest also is that instead of reading any prepared text or statements, please try to perhaps just respond to a question that I will ask each of you so that the 3 to 5 minutes can be an answer to a question. I will start with our first speaker, as stated in the program, Dato Sri Vaseehar Hassan. He has been a banker, he has been a businessman, an entrepreneur, an investor. So perhaps maybe, Dato Sri, you could share with us your transition from banking, professional banking, into business, and what do you think are some of the key success factors that we have to identify?
Thank you, Dato Sri. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. I'm the first generation of professionals, me and my brothers. From entrepreneur to become a banker, it looked glamorous. Of course, when I started banking in the 80s, banking was a very glamorous profession. But today, looking at what is going on in banking, I myself feel that sometimes I feel sorry for the current status of banks, because apart from considering the risk factors, the banks do not encourage entrepreneurs. I think many entrepreneurs have got very good ideas, but there were not enough banks to understand and support them. And that is why bankers should, and that is one of the reasons why we set up development banks, because bankers don't understand the business sector. They only look for risk and then how they can repay without any vision of understanding the entrepreneurs. So I always used to tell in conferences that once I started banking, the DNA of entrepreneurship was completely killed in my blood. And now I have more or less retired from the bank. And I do provide, when I'm sitting on credit committees or finance committees, I always look with empathy to the entrepreneurs who the banks fail to look at. And I always question the risk committees for their rationale in rejecting or over-analyzing some of the situation. So that is my experience. And I would like to just add 1 or 2 other points. You see, entrepreneurship, the common theme of entrepreneurship in Asia is the Chinese. Every country in Southeast Asia, of course, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines, the Chinese have been the backbone of entrepreneurship, and they have been the successful community. Therefore, to bring entrepreneurship to discuss in Shenzhen is like bringing coal to Newcastle. There is a proverb. The challenge that we need to move on now is colonialism was the one that created the colonialists used to take away a lot of wealth from Asia and Africa, and they were living on that colonial wealth. And today that has been depleted, and you can see that America, Europe, they are becoming poor, whereas Asia and China are becoming rich. So how we can work towards ourselves so that we can create an interconnectivity and work on ourselves to improve is the challenge that we have in this. I like to share that in this forum.
Thank you very much, Vaseehar. Vaseehar was chairman of a bank before, so he understands how bankers think, and now as an entrepreneur, he can understand how, at the other end, some entrepreneurs have issues and problems with your bankers. I'd like to turn to another prominent business leader. I'm skipping Dato Sri Rainer for a while and move on to Wilfred Wong, who many people know as an entrepreneur and a hotel owner from Hong Kong. Wilfred is president and executive director of Sands Hotel in Macau, and was at one time also the chair of the Pacific Basin Economic Council of PBEC. Wilfred, are you there, Wilfred?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah,
how are you?
Over to you now, Wilfred.
Okay. The 3 years of pandemic has basically led to people's behavioral change in China, including the Greater Bay Area. For example, people tend to go home earlier. The communication is now more online and less offline meetings. People enjoy online entertainment. They purchase merchandises online, reducing of long-distance travels, etc. So this basically resulted in a less robust commercial scene, especially in Hong Kong and Macau. Additionally, the improved transportation network facilitates cross-border and cross-boundary travels, enhancing flow of tourists from the more established cities such as Hong Kong and Macau to the newer cities like Shenzhen and Zhuhai because of the search for novelty. So for entrepreneurs and startups, it is important to get to know the characteristics of the different cities in the Greater Bay Area. And as we all know, there are 9 cities in China and 2 cities, including Hong Kong and Macau. And so how do you identify your identity and positioning in the supply chain in the Greater Bay Area? For example, Hong Kong functions as a financial center, Macau as a world center for tourism and leisure, Shenzhen for high-tech, especially digital development, and Nansha for port and transportation. So all the cities in the Greater Bay Area has different preferential investment policy targeting industries and entrepreneurs that they would like to invite to those cities. And as a result, they have also created many special economic zones, such as Qianhai in Shenzhen and Hengqin in Zhuhai. And there are also incubation incubation schemes introduced by these special economic areas. So there is actually ample opportunities for entrepreneurs and startups in this area. But one has to make a decision based on the usual questions of what, where, and when, because we are all different. And entrepreneurs and startups has to be very careful in the choice of their location. Thank you.
Actually, you have 1 more minute to go, but the first bell is a warning that there is 1 more minute left. But it's fine. Wilfred, I want to ask you 2 very brief questions. Hopefully, you can give us 2 brief answers. You are one of the biggest hoteliers in Hong Kong. I mean, your Sands Resort is very prominent. Have you recovered back to your pre-pandemic levels? That's 1. And 2, during the pandemic, how did you and many other hotels in Macau survived the pandemic, and what were some of the measures that you took to ensure business resilience and survival?
Well, as you know, we base on a lot on the revenue from the gaming industry. And so during the pandemic, it was a very tough challenge. We have 26,000 people. So we have to go on to very stringent measures, because at the lowest time, our hotel occupancy is only maybe about 10%. And so, and there were certain periods of lockdown, closure of casinos and all that. So as a corporation, we have to, first of all, economize. Secondly, ask our staff, and this is the time when everyone pooled their strength together to go on no pay leave, to go on more leave. And also, we have to have very strong financial support from the bond market, from the banks. So we survived after 3 years. Business has started to pick up since January this year. And luckily enough, our hotels occupancy has gone back to the pre-2019 level. Our revenue has recovered to about 70%, bearing in mind that Macau has stopped many of the junkets, the VIP activities that were available before the pandemic, but now no longer. So for the mass market, we have returned. For the revenue, we are positive. We are EBITDA positive, and it's going on a very good track.
Thank you, Wilfred, and congratulations. You've done well in surviving and prospering again. Let me now turn to another speaker, who's our good friend from Germany, Dato Sri Rainer Althoff. He used to be president and CEO of Siemens in Malaysia. He also, about 20, 30 years ago, was with Siemens in China and has been very much involved in both the digital and energy sectors here in China as well. He was looking forward to come here to be with us in Shenzhen, but unfortunately, for some reason, China changed their rules for visa on arrivals for people with German passport at the very last minute, and that prevents Rainer from being here with us in person. But anyway, Rainer, good to have you here.
Thank you, Tansi Michael, for your hearty welcome on remote basis. I'm very much sad that I cannot join the meeting in Shenzhen, which I entered first time alive in 1983. So I have a history in China, and I was the one with my team who started the very first mobile network, 2G network in Shanghai in the year 1992. So that was a long history, and I really want to go back to my wonderful city, Shenzhen, soon. So, but today I'm at home, working from home as usual during pandemic. And my focus today is on startups and SMEs. Startups in my opinion, feed the economy with innovation, and entrepreneurship sails it through all storms as good as the captain and his team of the ship really can do it. It's all about people, not only technology. So due to global headwinds, SME must go big or stay small or go home. That's a brutal fact of life. The survival rate of SMEs is not that great. So big companies have already taken the lead in various most attractive global market, the lead, and we need to learn from them. In the automotive industry, for instance, BYD replaced Volkswagen as #1 in China early this year. In the communication business, Huawei as #1 in data communication and data platform management, growing around the globe crazily, and primarily in enterprise business where people go digital. However, in the manufacturing automation industry, Siemens Industrial Automation as #1 in the world, and in China, #1 for a long, long time. Siemens is in China for 150 years now. Siemens performance always stands for the most successful manufacturing industry in the world. So it is amazing to understand that Inco Medical, based in Anhui, Shandong province, is now most successful and most modern in the industrial manufacturing industry in the whole world among all industries. So take note of it. That is very impressive, and it is guiding other people for maybe following success. Here I want to share my triangle philosophy. There are 3 elements. So my performance triangle shows 3 performance activators relevant for small, big, and corporates. IQ, PQ, and EQ. IQ stands for intelligence, knowledge, and lifelong learning. PQ stands for practical intelligence, hands-on implementation. And EQ on top of the triangle stands for emotional intelligence and how to run the extra mile. Those survived COVID-19 ran the extra mile. Congratulations to them. It's all about market and customer relationship. Remember, customers always come first. But how? Now, by using the most powerful market intelligence called by name CX. CX stands for customer experiences and is the only key success factor today and tomorrow, the main key success factor. All companies need it. So to develop intelligent spearhead functionality in the market, the best you can do is CX. The online world of today is open to all. The threats, however, to your business can come from all corners in the world. So big picture first. Keep your eyes open of the whole world market. Please take note of most of your competitors are already well established as data platform companies. After they completed their digital transformation journey, it is an ongoing concern, 24/7. So what we need is to understand the 4 important consumer trends. First of all, how to invest in customer-focused initiatives, not just internal projects. Number 2 is how to reduce expenses and allocate funds for CX-driven market approaches. And number 3, how to invest in emerging tech like generative AI and extended reality. Proper answers needed, and right people find the proper answers for you. So lifelong learning is mandatory request for all. Follow, learn, transform. And then you get things implemented. Never ending story. So one thing is most of the time overlooked in SMEs and startups, quality. Quality is an enormously important success factor. Very much overlooked. Certainly.
Time is coming up. Can you summarize in 30 seconds, please?
Yeah, so I want to draw attention on the global market triangle. Customers, potential customers, and competition. Customers, best customers experience helps to keep your existing customer bases growing. Never lose any. Potential customers, best business practice and company's performance helps to win new customers, to grow your business. And competition, most powerful market approach to beat competition more often. And that is the main key, which I will result into there's a fantastic specialist, Sun Tzu is a legendary military strategist. Let me conclude the whole story into these 3 statements. If you know the enemy and if you know yourself, you don't need to fear the results of 100 battles. Secondly, if you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. And the final one is, if you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. So, dear friends, let's go digital, let's grow and grow our friendship and our business sustainably. Thank you.
Thank you, Rainer. Thank you for joining us. We got 3 other persons waiting online, but because of time difference, I'm going to skip Edmond and Nathan first. Seek your indulgence. Let me skip to our friend from San Francisco because time difference is a lot more from San Francisco. So let me introduce Jason Ma. Jason Ma is the founder, CEO, and chief mentor of a consulting group on 3EQ USA. He also is a member of the B20 task force of the USA, B20 being the business summit of the G20. Over to you, Jason. Again, very quick summary, 5 minutes.
Sure. Thank you so much, Michael. And it's such an honor and pleasure to be here again. This is just about my 10th year of speaking at your esteemed summit. And such a joy to see old friends like Wilfred and Edmond and all that here, plus many others. It's been over 30 years since I stepped foot into China, running Asia Pacific for a bunch of tech companies and also co-founded a couple of Chinese tech companies. Was quite lucky to even exit in one way back in the past, right? In my past life. And today based in Silicon Valley, I guess I'm the only one from Silicon Valley on this panel. And certainly watching Silicon Valley grow from yellow lilies all over, decades and decades ago. I immigrated to the US in my tweens, 1,000 years ago, right? Because we're all 1,000 years old. And it's quite exciting to see the transformation of Silicon Valley, global Silicon Valley, and now worldwide, including China, ASEAN, the entrepreneurship scene, the tech entrepreneurship scene in ASEAN finally began growing. That's very exciting to me. Michael, on your cover letter on the program, you mentioned 5 Ps. To build a great company as an entrepreneur, and I've been in the entrepreneurial journey for quite a while. Today, quite very much into education, mentoring, and also other tech businesses as well. It's about 5 Ps as well. Okay, number 1 is people. It's the management team, the leadership team. That's the most important thing. The second P, I would say, product platform, the strength of your technology, your technical excellence, right, and your purpose. The third P, in no particular order, is really the potential of your market, the size of the market, the growth potential of the market. Timing is very important. Timing. That to me always comes first, right? Another P is really the predictability of your business. Your business model, is it predictable? Especially as a public company, or if you have shareholders that are kind of demanding, you need to be more predictable, even though you cannot control everything. So the business model is very interesting. And Chinese, in fact, are real good in business model innovation over the years. Finally, reasonable financings. And those are just functional, critical success factors in building a great company. My encouragement to all entrepreneurs worldwide, China, ASEAN, the United States, Europe, is really to try to do things to solve real problems out there. I joke with some of my friends is that I'm excited about healthy, productive longevity tech, right? And other types of technologies that are very useful in solving real problems out there. Finally, one of you mentioned about EQ. And a lot of you know me to be the chief mentor of next-gen leaders. And whether I'm guiding, coaching, mentoring powerful or driven CEOs or mentoring, coaching teenagers, high school students, I'm very big on grooming them on pragmatic 3EQ. What I mean by that is emotional, social, and leadership intelligence. Emotion, right? Instant effect of your belief system, your thought process, your physiology. Social is a team, it's a communications, it's a collaboration, it's how you gel your team, right? A leader needs to be inspiring, but also strategic and pragmatic. And finally, leadership intelligence is holistic. And because leadership, it's more fun to be a leader, I think. You're more impactful, you're able to have more control, you're able to impact and influence, hire, fire, and even non-staff as well. So pragmatic 3EQ, I think it's essential to be successful in entrepreneurship and building a startup.
Thank you very much. That was interesting points and comments you have made. Hope to see you in San Francisco when I'm there, hopefully next month, if I can get there on time. Let me now move on to our speaker from London, another very old friend and regular speaker at our past summits, Mr. Edmond Yeo. Edmond, are you there, Edmond?
I am. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Edmond, let me just say a few words, Edmond. Edmond is what many people consider the Taipan of Chinatown in London. He's chairman of the Chinese Information and Advice Center in London and had the great opportunity of hosting King Charles 2 years ago in Chinatown. And last year, I think you managed to get the king to host the first Chinese New Year reception in Buckingham Palace. So congratulations. And then Edmond has been an expert on social entrepreneurship. So perhaps you may want to focus your presentation on social entrepreneurship.
And thank you, Michael, and all. Good morning from London. Let me zoom down straight to the entrepreneurships and strategies lessons that we could learn in the context of the UK. And it's very simple if we kind of break it down to pre-COVID days where migration was very rich in our history, and the innovation and the demand that was driven from the need to survive in the context of our Chinese community here in the UK. We have to survive against all the odds in terms of no formal education, language difficulties, and no family support. So we've come a long way. And obviously the natural trend in those days was to go into the restaurant and food business, and that was a thriving business for our community here and our offer to the UK cuisine. Post-COVID, after that lull in the COVID years, tourism gave us an extra boost, and the footfall in Chinatown, for example, has actually increased much better than the pre-COVID days. It's almost like saying people are itching to spend money, and come to London. London is always a place they would want to come and experience the rich touristic icons visits that they could make. So the engine to become creative and the ingenuity for new business and startups, like even bubble tea, for example, in Chinatown, in the Chinese towns all over the UK, is a very, very topical trend at this moment in time. So the strategies, it's always good to use other people's money if you can, but against the backdrop of a very high interest hike in the economy, this is quite a challenge. So the basic principles of return on investments, on your startups, and all your calculations go into play. You can go solo, you can go partnerships, and even collaborate with the big players. And so this creates that opportunities for us in terms of real estate, in terms of the leasehold, freehold, commercial properties. You can do deals, because against the backdrop of the downturn, then we're just about coming up back to pre-COVID levels. It's an opportunity. You just have to go out and smell it and take it. But the challenge has always been there. For example, in terms of office properties, people, like our previous speakers say, a lot of them do actually starts to get into the habit of working from home, and that could be a threat. For example, Pret a Manger is a very, very large chain of breakfast shops, but a lot of them has closed because the traffic is just not there. But there's opportunity. If you're talking about real estate, there are opportunities for auctions that you could pick up properties that you could go on and do it and flop it back in the market. In terms of green opportunities, government contracts, it's always there. You just have to go and take it. So in terms and in the context of social enterprise, people do consultancy work, people do self-employed personal training, health consultancy, coaching, and even business coaching is a very relevant trend in the UK now. My favorite example of a social enterprise is Change Coffee, which is, you can check out on the website just by clicking on to Change Coffee. But it's a very good concept because basically it visualize the opportunity for people to get into employment, especially after the COVID days. And a lot of the homeless were being trained with government subsidy as well, with local council support. They can become coffee baristas, and many has opened up branches and they operate with even Virgin Trains, Virgin Airlines, and with the larger banks. So there you are. There are opportunities in the downturns. There are opportunities in entrepreneurship, and charities can provide a serious option for people to look at in terms of social enterprise. Thank you very much for listening.
Thanks, Edmond. Good to hear from you, and wish you all the best in London.
Thank
We
you.
have one more speaker online, Mr. Nathan, but I hope you don't mind bearing to wait a little bit longer. I think people will want to hear one or two speakers in person here before we come back to you. So may I now move on to our next in-person speaker, Dato Sri Dr. Mike Chan, who is a well-known professor, medical researcher, and an expert on regenerative medicine.
I'm moving to 63, spending more than 3 over decades in research, working 16 to 18 hours a day, together with my wife of 42 years. We started everything with $2,500 in Switzerland in the 80s, trained by the Soviets with the German and Swiss people, and I've been traveling all my life, and it's 6 weeks now where I have not returned home, and tonight I have to fly to Jakarta. It wasn't easy, but if you enjoy what you're doing, you have a passion in everything you do, then it's different. And I always believe in business, you have to stay very different. I would never like to be in a red ocean. I always believe you must be in the blue ocean, if possible, even in the green ocean. And innovative is very much a very part of business. Innovation is important. We have to change with the strength, with the trend all the time, and I believe in that very much. And we have to learn from everyone. We have to learn from the day until the day we die. So I always observe what is so special about every one of us. What is so special about a certain person? What is the best thing from that person you can grasp from? Because we have to steal the brain of everyone. And we have to learn and share with what we have. So SQ is again important. It wasn't just the PQ or EQ or IQ. You need the SQ too. The social skill is important here. To win the hearts of people, I believe that it's not just to be kind to people. You must also be kind with the words. And I have been keeping my employees from 2 employees to 1,000 over employees in my business of 46 clinics all over the world. My oldest employee is 78 years old today. And my CEO was telling me from Hong Kong, he said, Mike, this guy is 78 years old. Why are you keeping him still around? And I was telling my COO, he has contributed 30 years in the company. You have to think of what he has done in the past. So it's important to value people, and not just because he's old today. And as long as he can keep the job, keep him there. You can change the scope of the job. So I value loyalty very much. I like the sentimentality of people, and I believe that you must have the passion to go on, and you must stay ahead with the rest and turn all your competitors into your allies in business. This is what I've been doing all along, while the rest of the world is very much involved in stem cells, where we contribute to 40 over books in research and 90 over publications. Everyone is asking me, Mike, how do you run a business with 46 hospitals and clinics around the world? From Lugano to Santorini to all over the world. And yet with IT today, you can keep everything updated. At any one time, you know what is happening. That is the marvelous of IT today. So we have to stay competitive, and learn from each other. That's my secret of success. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mike. Now let's come back to our online speaker. You've been waiting patiently for so long, so may I now call upon Mr. Vaidyanathan, the Group CEO of Petrico Capital, to address us.
Thank you, Tan Sri. Thanks a lot. I hope you guys can hear me. Thank you for the opportunity. I have been a CEO of public listed companies in Europe and Asia, and I recently forayed into entrepreneurship. And I was excited at this opportunity to be able to share lessons, strategies, and opportunities in entrepreneurship. I'll keep my talk short. From a lessons perspective, I wanted to basically bring about that not all startups are unicorns. Not all startups are the next big thing. There are startups that are startups for the sake of being startups, and they also need to be nurtured. For the people who get into startups, my advice is that skin in the game is very vital. They will not get anywhere without having their skin in the game. It's not going to be easy for them to convince an investor or a supplier or a customer to come in and to support them unless they show that their skin is in the game. Publicity and attention is not a prerequisite for success. There are a lot of startups that are very successful and are very silent and are very under the radar. Don't take media or the public attention too seriously when you're structuring a startup. And staying power in a startup is very critical. The entrepreneur that takes on a responsibility of a startup, his staying power is very critical because everybody around him is going to tell him that he is wrong. And he has to convince himself that he's right, and he has to have the deep pockets or the heart to stay in the game. From a strategies perspective, the entrepreneur should understand that conventional financing doesn't work for a startup. Like Mr. Vaseehar was saying, the conventional financing, bankers don't understand business, definitely don't understand startups because there is absolutely no collateral. And that is something that they have to understand, that conventional financing will not work for a startup. Startups can be transactional. Everything need not be paradigm defining. Everything need not be the next big thing. It can be simply doing a transaction in a different way. A conventional transaction in a slightly different way could be your USP. And that's also a good idea. I mean, it should not be shied away from. And when an entrepreneur presents his startup to an investor group or whoever he wants to impress it, he has to understand that his idea is his alone. He cannot expect others to see his idea his way. He has to translate what it means for the other person when he's presenting his idea, rather than saying that this is my idea, please accept it, be as excited about my idea as I am. It's not going to work. And from a strategy perspective, multi-layered structure of equity will always be good for a startup because dilution will then be a little more controlled. Otherwise, in times of desperation, entrepreneurs tend to leave their cards on the table and go with very little to show for. From an opportunity perspective, rather than diluting shares, entrepreneurs should look for opportunities to do joint ventures. They should take an opportunity and try to sell it as a joint venture to a stronger partner, rather than diluting stake in their own company. Diluting stake in an opportunity is better than diluting stake in the company. And most often than not, like Mr. Wong also said, startups are always asked to show who we are and what's our financial strength when we don't have any. And usually we tend to sell our souls, sell our equities for showing financial strength. There is an approach where you can use third-party resources to show financial strength also. I think entrepreneurs should be aware of that. Being a vendor, being able to sell your services to a big company is a very big plus. Sell your product or service. So vendor registration is something that a startup should focus on. That's a big opportunity. Whether they're able to close the sale or not, being a vendor is an identity, is an IP that they can create. And if a startup is about people, I would rather insource rather than outsource most of my activity by making activities profit centers rather than cost centers. And with the right people, I think that's very much possible. This is pretty much the gist of what I wanted to share. I don't want to take too much time. I know we are running short of time. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nathan. I'd like to now move on to another very old friend, Alex Wan, who used to be heading China Daily, but is now the Group China Advisor to the Pacific Century Group. I think those of you from Hong Kong will know Pacific Century Group is a company that is headed by Richard Lee, the son of Hong Kong's richest man, Lee Ka-shing. Alex.
Thank you, Michael. Obviously, I'm not Richard Lee. And thank you for inviting me. I think the only reason for inviting me is that I could perhaps share my failures so that people don't repeat my mistakes to become an entrepreneur. To begin with, I want to first of all share with all of you a very updated report released by Hubbard, the so-called rich list young man, and he released the so-called China U40 report as of yesterday. The China U40 report means the Chinese entrepreneurs that are under 40 years old. And from this release, there are a few very interesting statistics that I would like to share with you. First of all, the average age of the Chinese U40 is 38 years old. So people in this room, if you are under 38 years old, you still have a chance. For those over age, please leave the room. I was kidding. And then, in terms of sex, the gender, I'm sorry, the 89% of the U40 are male. 11% are female. This is good and bad. Obviously, for the females, that means you have a huge room to increase the percentage, right? And then, in terms of locations, Beijing has 26% of this Chinese U40, followed by Shanghai, which is 20%. Shenzhen, right here, is 16%. So, if you are not within these three cities, you have to be exceptionally good in other cities in China to become a China U40. Now, having said all this, what's the point? The point is, to become an entrepreneur or start up successfully, on my books, I think there's only one key word I want to share with you, which is connectivity. Connectivity is the key word to become an entrepreneur. You have to connect with your team, connect with your customers, connect with your investors, and connect with your society. So the key word I would suggest all of you, if you were to become an entrepreneur, is connectivity. And I can call you a few very relevant and useful institutions, international institutions that may help on your connectivity and career, such as there's one thing called the Rising Talent. The Rising Talent was established by a very famous headhunting company called Russell Reynolds. You look into Google or Facebook, you can find it. If you have problems, come to me. The other one is established by Cartier, the luxury goods company. Cartier has established something called the Women's Initiatives, which is aiming at promoting women leadership in business. Okay, and having said all this, I want to conclude my few remarks by 4 keywords. If people want to become entrepreneurs, the 4 keywords in Chinese, I'm sorry, is 第一个是颜值高、智商高、情商高，最重要品格高。你有这4个高呢，应该你肯定会成功。Thank you very much， 谢谢。
Give a short English translation of your forward.
Okay. 这个4高很重要，我觉得这4高是非常。In fact, some of the speakers have already shared. 第一是颜值高，颜值高的in English is appearance quotient, AP. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to look good or you have to be attractive or beautiful or whatever. Actually, it means you have to be your chief motivating officer or your chief excitement officer of your team. So that you have to be always on the focal point, on the center stage to motivate your team. So people, you catch their eyeballs. IQ is easy to understood. I don't need to elaborate. EQ, people understood. Eh? And the fourth large important Q is what I call CQ, character quotient. This is most important. However smart you are, however wealthy you are, however successful you are, without a good character, you will never succeed. There's a gentleman in the room, but he just left there, maybe in the washroom, that I want to call him. He's a pawn that I can learn, or everybody can learn. He's really the man with all these 4 Qs fully satisfied. That is Mr. Vincent No. But he's not here. But do go approach Mr. Vincent No and learn from him how he achieved all these 4 Qs.
He has to go back to Hong Kong for a dinner tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
谢谢，记得这个4个高啊，谢谢。
Thank you very much, Alex. Let me move on to the only lady speaker on this session. I should have called you earlier, actually. Dato Sri Jess Ling is the head of a legal firm of lawyers in Malaysia. She's also involved in many businesses. But what is intriguing is that she's the co-founder of the ASEAN-China Entrepreneur Book of Records. Over to you, Dato Sri Jess.
Thank you, Dato Sri Michael Yeo. 各位企业领导、各国的企业领导以及优秀的各国代表们，大家下午好。Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to all of you. After all the sharing by these amazing entrepreneurs, welcome to the world of legalpreneur, the meeting point of law and entrepreneurship. First of all, what is legalpreneur? They possess both legal expertise and entrepreneurial skill, which make them the bridge between law and the business. I would like to just highlight the role of legalpreneurs in the world of entrepreneurship and startups, the importance of legal compliance for entrepreneurs aspiring to expand globally. Entrepreneurship is the foundation for innovation, progress, and economic development. As many entrepreneurs explore opportunity for business expansion on a global scale, we must acknowledge that as ASEAN country, we share many similarities. These similarities from our geographical proximity and common culture to our historical ties, collective economic growth, etc., are the building blocks of our regional strength. As the speaker, Dr. Kwa Wanda, the Vice President of CDI, highlighted yesterday on the decoupling between China and the West. I mean, while trading between China and the US are decreasing, China's trading with ASEAN is growing at the rate of 3.6%. Thus, there should be a joint effort to foster more business integration among China and ASEAN entrepreneurs. However, as entrepreneurs aspire to take their business to international markets, they often encounter complex legal challenges. Each country has its unique sets of law, regulation, and legal intricacy. This is when the role of legalpreneurs becomes so significant. I would like to share about our experience. Our firm in Malaysia, about 10 years ago, we actually assist the local bank, the local financial institution, to work together with the UK legal firm to find out how to actually assist the local investor and the individual to purchase property or to invest in UK, especially UK and Australia, which local bank is financing for those investments. There's a lot of discussion, deliberation among the lawyers between both countries. And eventually we are able, to do it. We have successfully done it for the past 10 years. So helping thousands of investors to be able to invest in the UK and Australia with the local financing. So I think we could do it among the China and also the ASEAN country as well. Well, we all can see that it's usually the established and resource-rich giant entrepreneurs who are able to expand internationally, not the smaller startups and young entrepreneurs. Thus, the growth of many promising young business and innovation in the global market are hindered. I believe achieving the right legal compliance will level the playing field for younger entrepreneurs to go global. In a world where legal intricacy and entrepreneurial endeavors intersect, the legalpreneur is your go-to partner. Legal firms too can evolve and become legalpreneurs, providing the legal expertise that business need to future-proof and future-ready. 那么我相信在未来，有更多的年轻企业家、中小型企业家在中国和这个ASEAN有这个跨国际的这个发展，那么优化法治化营商环境，可以强化这个企业的合作。要把这个法治融入在这个企业里面，让企业家有法治的意志、法治的观念，用法律来保护企业与自己。我的分享到这里 ，Thank you。
谢谢 ，Thank you very much. We now move to our last but not the least speaker and our youngest speaker on this panel, who is an adjunct professor, Dato Sri Dr. Kris See, a medical scientist. He was working overseas for many years, but was encouraged to come back to the country and is now heading a medical facility in Penang and many other businesses. So over to you, Dato Sri Dr. Kris.
Thank you, Dato Sri Michael Yeo. Good afternoon, everybody. 大家下午好. Now, I sit here and just listen to all the esteemed predecessors talking about entrepreneurship. And now, if Dato Sri Jess Ling is the legalpreneur, then I must be the medipreneur. Now, my background is in surgery, and I must confess, I was a reluctant entrepreneur. When I first was invited back from Harvard to Malaysia 10 years ago. And my background is in brain surgery and my research is in genomic medicine. And when I came back, we were we have this nationalistic spirit on contributing and building up the nation, building bridges for Malaysia and the Western world. I was also appointed as an ASEAN Fellow by the Singapore International Foundation back in 2018. And I represent Malaysia in the ASEAN region, 11 countries. And we were all very curious from the medical point of view, what makes a true entrepreneur? Besides, the attributes that we have all discussed about. And we begin to find out and begin to dive right into our genetic makeup. And we realized that we managed to isolate the gene, and if I may, just to share this information, that there's this gene that is called DRD4. DRD4 gene actually propels somebody to be more likely to be an entrepreneur. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen, we realized that this gene is very much found in ladies. And this is quite interesting because in the panel we have just one lady over here, and there are more male speakers, not just here in this occasion, but throughout the world when I was invited to speak. And my team and I, my research team and I, they are all here today. We realized that entrepreneurship is not necessarily just because of the genetic makeup. We also very much found out up to 46 to 57% of what just now our previous speaker was saying. Entrepreneurs, the success of entrepreneurship really determines on where you are and how you convey the ideas across. So, for example, for me as a surgeon, I think all surgeons should be entrepreneurs. And when I tell that to my friends, they are all, laughing at me, because why? First thing, surgeons take risks. Surgeons take risks. Now, we take risks within the confines of the law, right? We don't take unnecessary risks. We're not reckless. We take risks within the confines of the law. That's first. Second thing, surgeons are rebelliously optimistic. So whenever we see patients that is in terrible state, there will be doctors willing to step up and to do what is necessary. For example, during the height of pandemic, we all take risks. Now, third, surgeons swore the Hippocratic oath of do not harm. So doctors innately should be compassionate. We should be more than willing to put other people above ourselves. We should be more than willing to solve problems rather than be attracted by the materialistic gains that it entices. Now, the fourth, last and not least, is courage. Now, I think all entrepreneurs, they see things what other people don't see, and they are willing to walk the talk. Against what Bank is saying, there's no collaterals. Banks would never fund an entrepreneur, but entrepreneur must have the courage that is walking the talk. So if I may just sum up shortly, that I wish to share with everybody, that I think what is really important in the entrepreneurship space, especially among the up-and-coming generation, it will be what I call PICC. Passion, integrity, courage, and compassion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kris. You sum up our panel very nicely. And I think all of us have got valuable lessons to take from very distinguished panel of speakers here, including those who have joined us from overseas online today. Please join with me to extend our appreciation to all of them. Thank you very much.